Thanks for tuning into Sin's Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So today we're going to be reviewing A Multitude of Dreams by Mara Rutherford. This is a gothic romantasy. It is loosely, we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, inspired by Edgar Allan Poe's Masque with Red Death. So I love Edgar Allan Poe. Yes, my favorite is The Raven. Come on, it's a brilliant piece of work. I do also like Fall of the House of Usher, but you know what? I love ravens. If I could have a raven sanctuary in my backyard, I would. Ravens are smart, beautiful birds. And crows. I love a gorgeous blackbird. But that's neither here nor there. I love Edgar Allan Poe. And that was key for me when I picked up this book. Now, the book is basically, let me just summarize for you real quick. You have this kind of medieval-ish setting, and the king has all his nobles and everyone locked up in the palace, and he's had everyone locked up for years because he was so terrified of this plague. I forgot the number of years, but you have Princess Imogen, who's actually not Princess Imogen. She was selected when the real princess died. She was selected by one of her sisters to stop their father from further descending into madness about this whole plague. They went to the Jewish slums. Because yes, there is Jewish representation here. They went to the Jewish slums and they picked a girl who closely resembled the actual princess. Unfortunately, I forgot her name, her actual name. I didn't write it down in my notes. They're not in my notes, so you'll have to forgive me for that. But they selected her, so she has been the princess, basically, for these many years. And she's had to hide her Jewish culture, because everyone in this medieval world blames the Jewish community for the plague. You know, that's not that far-fetched. You know, there are historical instances in which case that happens. I mean, if you look in history, you can find so many cultures and so many different regions where they blamed a certain minority for everything bad that would befall them. You know, it happens. It's part of history. I did like that Rutherford, I don't know if she is Jewish or not. I tried to look that up, but I couldn't really find any information on that. But I do like the way she dealt with anti-Semitism in the book. It was there, but it wasn't so in your face. It was part of the plot, so it kind of just fit. I know a lot of people online, because I like to do this when I read books, I'll go online and I'll read reviews. A lot of people thought the fact that having, and they're allowed to have their opinions, and I understand where they're coming from, they had an issue with the Jewish culture and religion being in the book because it felt like it took them out of the fantasy of the novel. To be perfectly honest, there's not a whole lot of fantasy in the novel. The main fantastical element is the plague, right? Here's what the plague did. Killed some people, made some people become immune, turned others into vampires. So, our main antagonist in this book is Lord Crane, who is a vampire. Now, these are not sparkly vampires, and these vampires can't really be harmed by the sun either, but they are deadly and they are dangerous, and Lord Crane is a psychopath. I did like how the villain was kind of masked as a savior. You knew there was something off from him to begin with, except you really didn't, given the way the world is set up now. You really had no idea what to expect. I mean, he is someone who didn't die from the plague, and what did he do? He saved other people who didn't die from the plague. Other people he found who ended up being immune, like Nico, our second protagonist. But again, the vampirism is the only fantastical element in the story. So for me, having Jewish representation in the novel didn't really deter me, and it didn't really take me out, and it didn't force me to suspend my belief. I liked that realism aspect in the story because it fit within the characterization. It fit within the plot. It fit within the scope of the story. And I really did get, because of that, I think it enhanced the medieval feel that Rutherford was going for, in my opinion, and I really enjoyed that. I will say there were times when Imogen and Nico kind of fell a little flat. However, the saving grace were their sidekicks. I swear, I was reading this book and I'm like, nothing bad better happen to these two people, because they are both adorable and wholesome and I love them. Like, they're the plucky sidekicks and the sweet ones and the ones that keep them grounded. And I'm like, when they're in scenes together, that's when the novel really, really shined for me. And you really got to see who Imogen and Nico were as characters. Because otherwise, again, they did fall a little flat for me. I wanted a little bit more personality from them. I get it. The world's kind of in disarray. There was a plague. People died. And as for Imogen, I mean, she's been locked up in the castle with, huge castle. With, nobles and people and playing dress up and pretend. Her two sisters, one of them is a horrible bitch. And she gets hers, and that scene is gratifying. Let me tell you, that scene is gratifying. So if you read this book for anything else, she gets hers. And then you have her other sister, who's just kind of, you think she's really superficial, but she's actually quite smart. And she's very kind to Imogen, and she treats her like a sister. She's kind to her. And I love that about her. I'm just like, I like you. Nothing bad better happen to you. You better be the next queen. The book had a really good cast of side characters that enhanced and brought to life the main characters. I'll say that. Because Imogen, again, and Nico fell a little flat. Overall, though, I really did like the Gothic atmosphere. And I think, again, that the Jewish representation, I don't think this book needed the author to make up a race or a religion for the feel of the story. I think having a real culture, in the book enhanced the medieval feel, which thus enhanced the Gothic atmosphere, which then enhanced the really good rising tension in the book. I think it all stacked together in the book. And the fact that your only fantastical element was the vampirism, it kept it really minimal, I think it would have been bad if you're like going for this really super high fantasy world and then you have a realistic culture representation. Then you're just kind of, depending on how it's written, not saying it can't be written done, not saying it can't be done if it's written well, but it kind of, when you read fantasy, you want fantasy. I was going into this expecting just a kind of Gothic medieval story, so I wasn't really deterred by that. But a lot of people were, which is why I'm talking about it, because it is going to affect how you read, and it is going to affect how you absorb and react to the story. And it's going to affect your expectations of the story and how you plan on absorbing that, because, everything kind of just, again, stacks together. Overall, though, it really was a fun read. It really was an engaging read. I really did enjoy it. And I'm actually excited to read more from Rutherford. So, on that note, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your book-loving friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.